Hello and welcome. Welcome to the launch of the Lilac Review Interim Report. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. Firstly, we want you to be comfortable. If there's anything you need, please do grab one of my team. They are very subtly wearing "Hello, can I help?" T-shirt. So please do let us know if there's anything you need. If you want to go and get a drink, there are drinks outside for the whole time. We are not expecting a fire alarm. So if it goes off, the building is burning down, which is very sad. It's a very nice building. Please do go out to where we're having coffee. On the left of where we had coffee is the exit. The team will come and help you exit the building. If you need the ramp, that will be there as well. But please do let us know if you have any needs exiting the building. But we're not expecting a fire alarm, and fingers crossed that won't happen. It is our very great pleasure at Small Business Britain to work with the steering board of the Lilac Review, and we're very excited to welcome you here today. And we will kick off with a few words from Minister Hollinrake, who is co-chair of the Lilac Review Steering Board and the Minister for Small Business. Minister Hollinrake, over to you.
Well, thank you, Michelle. And as I said a number of times before, business isn't for everybody, but it is for anybody. And I was lucky enough to have started a business myself some 30 odd years ago. And I promise you it can be transformational for your life. I think one of the nicest things about business is you as an individual get to live in a world that you design. And that can be about the products or services you provide, but also the way you work and when you work, which I think for people with disabilities is a fantastic thing to be able to do. Great to be here today. I wish that everything happened so quickly in government, because it was only a few short months ago, actually, that I was first introduced to this potential idea. And Ronald Reagan once said that there's no limit to what you can achieve in life as long as you don't mind who takes the credit. So here am I, the first speaker, taking the credit for this. Nothing can be further true, because the people who really should take the credit for this, particularly Michelle, actually, at Small Business Britain, because they organised an event in the House of Lords, a lunch which I attended, with disabled entrepreneurs, talking about this and talking about some of the challenges you face, and wonderfully supported by Lloyds. Ellen is here somewhere from Lloyds there as well. There she is. Wonderfully supported by Lloyds. So it's wonderful to see how much progress we've made in very short time, and we're so excited about this opportunity. I say a former business owner myself, so and really part of business is about breaking down barriers. What we're trying to do in this Department of Business and Trade, is break down barriers for disabled entrepreneurs to make it as easy as possible to do business, and that's whether you're from a disabled background or not. In many ways, people look at the economic climate today might think, oh, that looks a bit dodgy. Maybe it'd been easier a few decades ago to start your business, something like that. Don't let anybody give you that impression, because I think today is a golden age of business, and that's both in terms of the economic climate. You know, people might try and depress you about the economic situation right now. But actually, the UK is the fifth in the league table of trade globally. Fifth. It's fourth in terms of the fourth biggest exporter in the world. We were seventh. We've gone up to fourth. Third in terms of our economic growth since 2010. Only in the G7. Only the US and Canada have grown more quickly than we have. Second largest exporter of services in the world, and we've got more unicorns in the UK. These are businesses that have gone from scratch to $1 billion valuation than France and Germany put together. So there's lots of really good things happening, lots of real opportunities for people. Of course, things have been tough, and we've been through COVID crisis and cost of living crisis. So we've been through these crises, but looking at things now, I think there's some great opportunities ahead. What business needs more than anything, of course, is confidence and certainty. The whole economic system runs on confidence, and I think we can be confident that actually things are much better looking ahead. But the other reason it's a golden age of business is when I started my first business 30 odd years ago, the only place you could start a business easily was set up on a market stall. which is not all that pleasant when it's pouring down, it's freezing cold or whatever. But these days, you can literally start your business from your back bedroom or your kitchen table with a few clicks of a mouse. So there's online marketplaces which we're keen to make sure you get a fairer deal from. A great opportunity for you to go out there and start a business. And don't take it from me, take it from the 5.5 million people who've done this already. 5.5 million businesses in the UK. And one of my favourite quotes, and I do like quotes, is from an author, a guy called G.K. Chesterton, who said, too much capitalism isn't too many capitalists, it's too few capitalists. We want more people to start their own business, have the opportunities other people do. And sometimes we talk about business, we talk about great big businesses, or we talk about things like life sciences and AI, and all those things are really, really exciting, of course. But we shouldn't forget every business is important, whether you're running a pub or a restaurant or an online craft store, a high street boutique or an online boutique. So we have a thriving landscape of dynamism and creativity. Now, it's true that, and it's in the Lilac Review, so it must be true, disabled entrepreneurs account for 25% of all business startups in the UK, but just 9% of small business turnover. So we need to unlock that potential, which would mean a £230 billion boost for our economy. And there was a great piece in the Times this morning that our wonderful co-chair, Victoria Jenkins, had authored, which said, and I was really interested in the words she used in that article. You're not looking for any special favours here. We're just looking for equality of access. And I couldn't put it better myself. So we know that disabled entrepreneurs, we know you're innovative. You know you make a huge contribution to the products and services you provide. Yet 84% of disabled founders feel they don't have equal access to the same opportunities. You have higher startup costs, challenges accessing funding and business support, and all these things have a profound effect on the ability of a disabled entrepreneur to set up and scale up. So that's why we convened the Lilac Review. That's what the government's best at, actually. Michelle had a great idea, Lloyds supported it, we just convened and brought people together, and that's what we're best at in government. So this is very timely, and it's really important, and it's important right across government and has the full support of right at the top in terms of the Prime Minister, who I've spoken to about this. So it's been a pleasure to co-chair the Review Steering Board. It's great to see the progress that's been made so quickly. So thanks again to all the Small Business Britain team. You can spot them quite easily at this event and many others. So we're engaging directly with disabled entrepreneurs, and through the review itself, we're improving the accessibility of our business support offerings to make them as inclusive as possible. Here are a few examples. Our business support service has been adapted to ensure everyone can access it, offering a text service, British Sign Language interpreters, web chat, and adapted forms of written communications. The Help to Go management programme, a wonderful programme that's 90% funded by the government, it's like a mini MBA. It also offers mentoring and aims to match entrepreneurs to mentors based on their individual needs, including where an understanding of managing a disability as an entrepreneur is required. Additional work's also underway to enhance the visibility of mentors that understand disabled entrepreneurs' life experience. We've also recently launched Help to Go Management Essentials, an online training course filled with practical advice for small business leaders. The content is divided into 3 modules, and each module contains bite-sized resources for entrepreneurs to work through at their own pace. It is totally free. It's available to everybody. One thing about the full Help to Go management programme is that it was limited to businesses with 5 employees or more, and there was a cost attached to it, even though it's 90% funded by the government. This is totally free, available to anybody, whether you're about to take that first step or you've taken a few steps and just want some reassurance that you're on the right track. As we know, accessing finance is one of the key factors to business growth. Disabled entrepreneurs need access to finance to start up, reach new markets, and grow their workforce. The government-backed British Business Bank improves access to finance to help businesses invest and grow, supporting over £12 billion of finance to over 90,000 SMEs to support investment and growth. It also supports the Startup Loans initiative for new entrepreneurs, offering £25,000 without collateral requirement. 100,000 loans already been issued, over £1 billion in value, and that spawned lots of businesses that are doing extremely well, including one that's called Castori. Anybody come across that? It's on a lot of the sports teams now. They used to use Umbro in my day, and then they used to use Nike. Now it's a British company called Castori that started at a kitchen table, a unicorn, started from a £25,000 startup loan. Let's see what's possible. It's clear from research to date that significant barriers continue to hold back disabled entrepreneurs from finance, and that needs to change. So on this theme, I'm delighted to announce that the Department of Business and Trade will work with the Lilac Review Steering Board members, the British Business Bank, UK Finance and Small Business Britain to develop a disability finance code for entrepreneurship with support from Lloyds, NatWest, Barclays and HSBC. This code will drive engagement between the disabled entrepreneur community and the financial services sector in the United Kingdom, ultimately increasing the society-wide sense that financial services is open for business to disabled entrepreneurs. I'm very much looking forward to seeing where this valuable work will take us with the support of these financial organisations and Small Business Britain driving forward progress. In summary, we are bolstering our work with the private sector, financial services and the wider community to ensure that entrepreneurship is a positive and productive career choice for all. I look forward to the further progress of the review and working together to deliver more disabled entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I got a bit emotional at the end. We're really excited about the code, and thank you so much for your support. It is my pleasure now to introduce Minister Davies, who's just got in, so hopefully you're okay to raise up to the stage. Minister Davies, Minister of State for Disabled People.
Thank you. Forgive me, I very rarely miss a cup of tea if I can avoid it, but we got caught in the trooping of the colour, change of guard, all the practices outside. So apologies. Good afternoon, everybody. London at its finest outside, and it's not bad in here either, is it? Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to speak to you today in my role as Minister for Disabled People, Health and Work, and very proudly alongside Kevin and Victoria's co-chair of the Lilac Review. And Kevin's very exciting announcement is wonderful and life-changing and so exciting. It's one of the most brilliant things that I could hope to involve in. So, and the work has been speedy and so positive. So thank you so much for coming here today to mark a really pivotal moment, the launch of the Interim Report. And what a journey it's been. Who said things are slow in government, working with government? No. Given the Lilac Review was officially launched less than 3 months ago, it is truly wonderful to have been working with a dedicated group of individuals gathered here today and those who've worked with us on a really important common purpose that we're delivering on. And I've heard Kevin say this, and he's so right, that entrepreneurship's not for everyone. I know that because my brother works in small business, has very often told me it's not for me. It brings it brings its own challenges, but rightly it should be available for anyone to give it a go, which is why the Lilac Review, this government-backed but vitally independent review, was launched. And the primary aim, obviously, to tackle the ongoing inequality faced by disabled-led businesses, to properly level up entrepreneurship opportunities in the UK, and to call for evidence and learning. And that continues to be open at the lilacreview.com. So if you know anyone who hasn't already stepped in the arena, please do encourage them and you to continue to use your insights and really share this call for evidence in your networks. One of the things in my role, I have to keep telling people we want and we are determined to listen and engage and learn from you. So please be part of it so that we can really strive to create and importantly deliver on an inclusive landscape for disabled entrepreneurs. And I've had the pleasure of delving into some of the findings from the wider focus groups conducted by our wonderful group of researchers. Now, additionally, I've also engaged with our Job Centre Plus disability employment advisors. And I would also say, if you haven't been to a job centre, if you haven't engaged with what we do at DWP, go and have a chat, go and find out, because it is completely changed in terms of people's perceptions. And they have really given me, and they continue to give us a daily insight, the challenges that our claimants, the people that we work with, face when it comes to moving forward in the labour market, whether it is self-employed or as an entrepreneur. And it's really important that we properly understand that up and down the land in every single community. And I really do, and I'm sure like others, eagerly anticipate sharing these insights with the Lilac Review researchers over the coming weeks. The interim report and its recommendations, I don't think we should stand here and gloss over the fact there is a huge amount of work to be done, that government and society as a whole must and should address the challenges faced by disabled founders. But of course, it's important to acknowledge about areas where we fall short. That's as invaluable in terms of learning as where perhaps we're getting it more correct, and that course of action and improvement is easier. So all of those insights are crucial. And I also want to acknowledge hearing about the work that we have got in terms of commitment to tackle barriers. And this is together with disabled entrepreneurs. If we do this together throughout the Lilac Review's 2 years tenure, we're going to make that real change, because work, progressing in work, feeling that work and opportunity is for you, is the best route to raising living standards, boosting people's pay, prospects and prosperity, but most important, confidence, the feel-good value of achieving and delivering and being something, part of something which you are so proud of. We all deserve and want that in our working life. And disability should not disqualify anyone from being successful with their talents in the world of work and all the benefits it brings if we get this right. And as you'll be aware, in the speech from the PM, the boss, on the 19th of April, he announced that the benefit system is being reformed, and rightly so, because these changes show a vision for transforming support. So often in this role at DWP and in my current job, people feel so frustrated about the way things are set up to only showcase what people can't do, what they find difficult. And we need to make some key changes when it comes to the work capability assessment to reform it into what you can do, what we can help you to achieve, and how you can give things a try. And I'm determined to see these changes are properly understood, that they show more accurately what disabled people can do, those people with particularly fluctuating health conditions, and those who are self-employed or want to be entrepreneurs, so that we really target and get our support right by listening to people, listening and learning from a changed labour market and delivering this for people across all our communities. And part of that reform is exploring the different options to reshape the current welfare system so that it is more targeted, it is better understood, and it's less adversarial. It feels much more positive. And there is a 12-week consultation at the moment. It's really important you have your say, and I encourage everyone to respond on the government website. It's already had a gigantic response. We need more from you, those with health conditions, those representatives, those charities, those stakeholders. And as well as providing benefits, government has an essential role in the support of disabled people and those with health conditions. As I said, when it comes to start, staying, succeeding in work, but in real entrepreneurship and self-employment. I think, Kevin, you and I, these last few years with COVID, probably haven't felt that we've talked about entrepreneurship and start-up. It's been more about closing down and what you can't do. And we really want to motorise that now. We've got this opportunity. And we've got additional work coach time for disabled people to come and talk to us about their health conditions, about their wellbeing needs, more one-to-one interactions and learning. And that's about moving into work, but also crucially about seeing the opportunities of entrepreneurship. And for those that have been following what we do closely, the new Workwell pilots were launched on the 7th of May. This crucially also brings together the NHS, local authorities and other local partners in real local collaboration with job centres to provide light touch work and health support. It's being designed not for people just in work, but those people who are furthest away from the labour market to really understand what they need to re-engage with work, perhaps through entrepreneurship. Workwell can also support employers and crucially micro businesses. And there's a digital information service on .gov.uk which provides for employers more integrated and tailored guidance when it comes to health and disability and that employment in the workplace. It's particularly designed, and Kevin will be pleased with this, around micro and small businesses. Those, of course, who don't necessarily have the HR that perhaps larger businesses or sectors can rely on. And many of you will be familiar on the Disability Confidence Scheme. Very pleased we've got to level 2, working on level 3 at the moment. So if you aren't on the journey, do join me. And it's been really interesting to go through that with my team and think about how we properly and rightly encourage employers to think better and more varied about disability and health, and what real positive action we can address when it comes to what our employees face in the workplace. And as MPs, we are employers too. And as disabled entrepreneurs, your contributions, your connections, your learning, and all of this can link and root in and pave the way for the future disability confident, for the businesses of the future. Your ability, your unique understanding of the challenges can help us shape the next stage, and more importantly, push forward on a even more diverse workforce. One of the things I can tell you in DWP is a lot of people talk about inclusion and diversity. They really want to do it, and they drop at the final hurdle because they don't have enough knowledge or confidence or network to get it over the line. And we want to all work together to change this from warm words on a website, nice thoughts about recruiting and engaging more, but actually delivering it. And if we share our knowledge and share our commitment, we can actually make that happen. I am really confident that we can, as the UK, truly be one of the greatest places for inclusive small businesses to thrive, really contributing to a prosperous economy, fantastic local communities, and unlocking talent. Disability confident, I think, should be called talent confident, and that's our route forward. I'm really looking forward to the next few months of this, Michelle. Thank you so much for all you and the team are doing with the Lilac Review, and onwards we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Davies, co-chair. We will have our third co-chair and a little bit later, Victoria Jenkins will be with us. But I'd like to invite some more of the people who have been working on this, on the review and on the report. And first of all, Dr. Tom Williamson, who's Assistant Principal, ARU Peterborough. ARU of Peterborough have been amazing over the last few months. A lot longer than that actually, but working with us on not just the focus groups with disabled entrepreneurs, but also pulling in lots of research from lots of different organisations as well. And this process is ongoing. They're a big part of writing this report, and hopefully you will have a report. It is available in many formats. You can get it online. There's a QR code at the entrance. We have some printed versions. We have some Braille versions as well available at the entrance. It's online, available in audiobook and plain text and British Sign Language. I think that's it. But if there is any other format that you need, please do let us know. We are committed to making it available to you in whatever format works best. So to tell you a little bit more about the research, I'm going to hand over now to Dr. Dom. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's genuinely wonderful to be here. And there's a bit of a theme emerging that each of us involved simply can't believe it's only been 3 months since the idea was originally shared with us, and the time frame, much needed time frame, to make sure we were able to present this interim report that outlines the state of the nation, the problems that are being faced by disabled entrepreneurs across the UK. So to give a brief outline of the sort of research and some of the initial findings that you'll find in the report you've got available. The first phase encountered 120 or so different disabled founders from across the UK, from across sectors, and we brought them together in 18 different focus groups. So deliberately kept nice and small to make sure that there was an opportunity for everyone on those calls to get involved. And they were each facilitated and chaired by a member of the Small Business Britain team or ARU Peterborough. A very special shout out to Karen for her tireless work attending nearly all of them, which was all done within a month. So it really was just a roller coaster. And every single one of those calls were extremely emotional. I think I'll leave it at that, but they were hard conversations to be having. But the idea was to have this safe place to bring entrepreneurs together and discuss the circumstances, the opportunities and the challenges that they faced. And then the real work, I think, started when we decided, well, now we've got all this data, we've got to try and extract some themes. And I guess on one sense, that wasn't terribly difficult because there were some really clear emergent themes that came up in nearly every conversation, but also needing to make sure that no single voice was lost in that analysis and making sure that every single conversation that had taken part through that research really was understood and really does find its voice in this report. So I should also name as well Dr. Cheryl Grayson, that did a huge amount of that analysis work but isn't able to join us today. So when I say we, I mean Cheryl. And I categorically will not take credit for the huge amount of work. But also, these were conducted online, so they're recorded, and we're able to watch them back and make sure that we got all of the cues and the language from that. There was, however, one in-person session in British Sign Language, which was recorded with a whole technical setup that made sure every single contribution was captured and then interpreted and analysed as well. So that's been a really exciting piece of research to make sure it was all captured. So I talk of those themes, and I'll give a brief run through some of the key ones that really spoke out to me. Firstly, I think, and much to our shame, most of the conversations we had said this was the first time the disabled founders had been engaged in the conversation, that they'd even been asked what ideas they might have for improving some of the systems, and that has to change. So their voice not being heard on such a fundamental topic has to be one of the key recommendations, and that's why you see it, whether we talk about recommendations to government, business support, or finance sector, we've got to do better and make sure that we're listening to our users. Secondly, it was clear that whilst most disabled entrepreneurs shared with us their journey started from systemic challenges in other forms of employment, and I think recognizing that for some that path isn't always their first choice, but when they do find themselves in that position, actually some of that experience gives them extra determination and drive to be even more successful, and there's even more potential that could be unlocked when people are that driven and committed to their cause. Then we talked a lot about the administrative burden. And the fact that whether this is applying for state support or private sector support, business support programs, funding, finance, For many, it was felt that the processes were themselves the barrier. Complex, unnecessarily asking questions that can't possibly have any relevance to the actual product or service that's being applied for. And being poorly designed just meant that the process itself is exhausting and not accessible. So it has to become easier to access support, to apply for support, and the administrative task shouldn't become a compromise between that and health and well-being. The report also highlights a general feeling of lack of respect and dignity when engaging with some of these service providers. And again, that's a stark reminder to all of us in this sector that we have to do better by our disabled entrepreneurs. And actually, more importantly, just generally making sure that we are more conscious and more aware of the way that we are presenting ourselves to different stakeholder groups. A trust-based approach for accessing support when it comes to disclosing disabilities or neurodiversities is a fantastic opportunity for us. And we've seen in the report examples from GlaxoSmithKline where that's already been done at scale. And guess what? It's not been taken advantage of. So we need to just stop assuming the worst of people. And finally, there's a rallying call for mentoring for disabled entrepreneurs by disabled entrepreneurs or those that are understanding and empathetic towards the additional challenges that disabled entrepreneurs encounter. So there is a lot more in there. And as Minister Mims says, there's a lot more to be done. But we've got this really, really rich data now from across the sector, from across our disabled entrepreneurs that sets us up now for the remaining, I don't even know how many reports you want us to do in the remaining sort of 20 months. But it's really important that we have that foundation, that we've tested our understanding, that we've not entered this with any assumptions, and that we're well placed now with a trusting conversation that's really difficult to have, but so vital that we have. So with that, I shall hand back to Michelle. We are incredibly proud to be part of this initiative and many Small Business Britain initiatives, but the work starts here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tom. It's really important that you call him Dr. Tom, not just Dr. Tom. Always Dr. Tom in my phone. It's my great pleasure, actually, you know, kind of off the back of the insight from the research, creating recommendations for government, for financial services, and for business support. As Minister Hollinrake mentioned, we're incredibly excited to be launching the Disability Finance Code, really off the back of the feedback from disabled entrepreneurs. There's a lot of recommendations in there, so it's my pleasure to introduce Amelia Peckham, founder of Cool Crutches, to talk a little bit about the recommendations. So, Amelia, over to you.
Thank you for having me. I am very excited to be here. I have actually read the report multiple times over the last few days, and I'm so excited. I think everyone, when you read it, will, and I've read it multiple times, it gets better every time you read it. You will notice things that I never thought were possible, and certainly not in 3 months. Well done. Thank you. Just to run you through, my name's Amelia. I run a company called Cool Crutches. Unfortunately, in 2005, I was involved in a serious accident and I suffered a spinal injury and lost all feeling and movement from my waist down. Fast forward kind of 3 months and I was told I could try and learn to walk again. And I was handed what I thought was very exciting, a pair of hospital crutches. Unfortunately, they caused a lot of problems. I got infected blisters on my hands. I ended up back in bed and heard the lovely words from the doctor, get a wheelchair, get your head around it and get on with it, which ironically, I was really excited about. But it was my mum that said, hang on a minute, the one part of your body that your injury hasn't impacted is your hands. And that's going to be why you can't walk again. So she said, right, we're going to do something. And we started looking for crutches and realized that no one had ever created anything other than lovely hospital crutches. So 11 months later, we launched Cool Crutches. They are designed to do everything that hospital crutches also not do what all hospital crutches do. So they don't click, they don't slip, they won't give you blisters, they won't snap. and they are unavailable in hospital grey. I'm not here to talk about me. So the point I wanted to make was that when I had my accident, I was 19, which means whilst my working life was starting, I was also adjusting to having a disability, which for those of you in the room that have also had to go through the same will know it's not straightforward. And I also navigated my first job with my disability, which is now 18 years ago. Like so many of you, I really struggled in employment. I had multiple jobs in multiple industries trying to find something that I felt I had purpose in. Unfortunately, when my company that I was working for went into administration and I had left London to make life easier for my disability, I realised in leaving London, I'd also eliminated a lot of opportunity. So at that point, I thought, what can I do? And really the only opportunity I had was to turn what was then a side hustle into a full-time job. Luckily, it was the right decision and the company is flying. So it was definitely the right thing to do. But the question that continues to come into my mind is, where would we be now, 3 years down the line, had there not been the barriers that are currently in place? Which is why I'm here to talk to you about the recommendations that have come out of the research. Reading this report gave me goosebumps. I don't actually think there's ever been a time when disability has been on the agenda in the way that it is today. Not only that, but the team have put so much work in, and not just where you can see it in events like this, but more importantly, where you can't see it. And I dread to think how many hours have gone into this document. It's amazing. Right, the recommendations are designed, obviously, to support disabled entrepreneurs like me and so many of you in as many ways as possible, and I think this is really key, as simply as possible. We've all shared over the last few months what have been the barriers, the struggles, and quite frankly, emotional, unexpectedly, reality of running a business whilst managing a disability. What we need is tangible support and the opportunity not just to run our businesses, but to grow them so that we're valued as individuals, but also as organisations. The report is quite long. I have summarised it into 5 main points, which I'm now going to run you through. Radical, and I say radical because that is in the document in black and white, simplification of access to government, financial and business opportunities and programmes, aka making them easy to find, easy to apply for, and most importantly, secure support. Number 2, the re-evaluation of assessment when it comes to disability benefits. More specifically, moving, as Tom said, from a proof-based model into a trust-based model so that people have a better understanding of what having a lifelong condition means. AKA, if like me, you've got a long-term condition and it's only going to get worse, you won't have to repeatedly hand over evidence and justify your disability. Number 3, including disabled founders from inception on new initiatives and programmes, but also to include us in the development and review of existing programmes. That's across government, financial and business sectors. So we will be asked to contribute, support and improve initiatives designed to help entrepreneurs and disabled entrepreneurs to make sure that all support is accessible. Number 4, targeted support for disabled founders across government and business programmes, so specific programmes to support and grow our businesses with acute inclusion for disability. The report has actually also suggested looking at one centralised place for all government programmes that are relevant to disabled founders. And lastly, create and implement mentoring initiatives, which will help disabled entrepreneurs and give flexible and relevant support. So basically easy access to mentors who actually understand, either through lived experience or shared experience, what it's like to run a business with a disability. In summary, the recommendations look to nail 4 key areas for us: to include us, to simplify everything that we're trying to do, support us, but most importantly, trust us with our information and investment of knowledge and finance. This report really is the start of the future for disabled entrepreneurs. I've been able to read it in detail and it's only given me hope and confidence, which is something that so many of us have lacked to date. It's really exciting. It's supported by all the right people with all the right tools to make these recommendations a reality that will include us in the future to create opportunity and growth for us as individuals, but also as businesses. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Amelia. What she didn't tell you is that Victoria Beckham had a cool crutch at Paris Fashion Week this year. Quite a moment for cool crutches, quite a moment. We are going to have a couple of videos now of disabled founders talking about their experiences. But it's also an opportunity, if you wanted to take a break, go and get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, please do feel welcome to do that. After that, we are coming back for our last session, which is Victoria Jenkins and Seema Flower having a bit of a chat about what it means to be a disabled founder. So please do feel free to stay and watch the videos, or if you need to take a break, please do so now. Thank you.
I'm Camilla Well, the founder and CEO of Clipnik. We design and retail adaptive front fastening underwear designed strictly for women. In 2002, I had a massive stroke. There was a 90% chance that I would die. I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. I was just communicating with nods. I pushed myself, and I pushed myself. I recovered. I'm fully mobile now. I can use my arms and I can talk. Right now, people have to be educated that disabled peoples are very brilliant people. They should look beyond the disability. All the systems that work against disability. If you're a disabled person and you have a meeting in central London, it's not nice. They have to fix the transport, more accessible trains, more accessible connectivity. The percentage of disabled people that get funding, for some reason, is very low. It's very, very low, negligible. Funding has to be readily available to encourage entrepreneurs. Mentorship is a big thing. If you're an able person, how do you mentor a disabled person? Because you don't know what they're going through. So there should be a dedicated mentorship service for disabled people by disabled people. Representation, representation, representation. That's it. Simple as ABC.
My name is Paul Woods. My business is Proactive Dispatch. I've got cerebral palsy. Fortunately for me, it only affects my mobility. I've always walked with a bit of a limp and I've always walked with a bit of pain. And now I'm in this some of the time. Some of the quick wins to help disabled entrepreneurs. Disabled toilets is a quick win. Sit down networking meetings would be more helpful. Have a meeting room downstairs or have a lift. We've won the Chamber of Commerce Award for Customer Service Excellence 3 times. Sometimes I've not been able to go up on stage with the team because the stage hasn't been accessible. I think sometimes disabled facilities need to be perhaps designed by disabled people, not just make their buildings adaptable for their colleagues, but visitors as well. I just think disabled entrepreneurs need to be taken seriously. And when they go to the bank or to a funder with a business proposition, I think the business proposition should be the thing that's being reviewed rather than the person's disability. I think mentorship is really, really important. Just from a credibility perspective, I think it would help for disabled entrepreneurs to mentor other disabled entrepreneurs, you know. I'm a big fan of peer group networking. So business owners sitting around a table, exploring the challenges that they have and collaboratively solving them. I've met quite a lot of great people through the Lilac Review. I had a good fortune of going down to the launch at Lloyds offices. And it was a great day. And there was a lot of enthusiasm and rightfully saying that entrepreneurship should be for everybody. I absolutely, totally agree with that.
Okay. You okay if I go? Yeah. Is that Michelle? So who is that?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to return to your seats, please? Or come back in if you're outside. Thank you so much. I'm loving the excitement in the room. Loving it. It's a pretty relaxed affair. If you do want to pop out, please do feel free to. It's all good. It's all good. It's my very great pleasure to introduce now our third co-chair. We've heard from two of them already. Victoria Jenkins, founder of Unhidden. Absolute superstar. Gorgeous Victoria here. You will have seen her in the Times this morning. Who is going to be talking to Seema Flower about her entrepreneurial experience. So I'm going to hand over to Victoria. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I just want to reiterate, as everybody else has said, how much work has gone in behind the scenes, and it's really incredible and quite impressive. On top of that, all the other things that Michelle does with her across her suite of businesses and ideas. So thank you to everybody that's been part of it and to everyone that continues to support it. And I hope you'll stay on this 2-year journey with us. I'll do a quick bit of, I'm going to do a visual description. I'm a white woman wearing a red suit with a white top and some black stilettos, and I'm sat on a red chair. And Seema, I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Seema Flower. I'm the founder of Blind Ambition. I'm Asian. I'm wearing a navy yellow dress, I think it is.
Yes.
What gets white in it and yellow shoes.
Perfect. So I'll talk a bit through my journey. For those who don't know in the room, I worked in fashion and then became disabled in my mid-20s, which led to me founding Unhidden, which is an adaptive fashion brand. I also used to work for Victoria Beckham, so we do have a bit of a connection there. And it's been an interesting 3 years. Retail, particularly at the moment, is quite a tricky area to be in. And I wish that this had existed 3-4 years ago. Would have been really game changing for me. And like Amelia said, would probably be a lot further down the road. So Seema, how was your experience starting Blind Ambition and what led to you founding it?
Well, I'll go back a bit basically. So I first went into entrepreneurship in 2003, and for me, my journey started when my vision started to deteriorate. So my eye condition is retinitis pigmentosa, and sort of mid-30s, I used to work as an education officer at the RNIB, which was my dream job. You know, helping students in terms of accessibility and getting to university, etc., etc. I'm also a trained careers advisor, so that was my sort of bag, as it were. So my eyesight started to deteriorate, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm actually going to have to do something different, you know, be in control of my own destiny. And so I had I got married in 2000 and, no, 2002, sorry. And we went on a really nice honeymoon. And, you know, I thought to myself, when I came back, I wanted to start something, a service-based business, basically, that made a difference to people. So lo and behold, I carried on working part-time with the RNIB and then started the business called Hollinrake, which is a hairdressing salon.
Incredible.
Yeah, and people who say to me, you know, why do you want to go into hairdressing? You can't see. And that's very true, because obviously I wasn't actually going to be doing hairdressing, I wasn't cutting hair, I wasn't colouring, but it's about managing the business and growing it and having the personnel side of it and all those sorts of things that attracted me to it. And also the fact that, you know, hairdressing is a sort of business where you go in there feeling a little bit, you know, low sometimes, and you come out feeling really, you know, 10 foot high, because you're sort of had a transformation. So I went to that business, and people, you know, used to say to me, don't do that, don't run your own business, it's going to be really difficult for you, you can't see, etc., etc. But for me, with my careers advisor hat on, when I'm working with people, it's about, you know, what do you enjoy doing, what are your goals, what do you want to achieve, not about what you can't do, what you can do, basically.
Yeah.
I have a very sort of attitude around that. So, you know, I sort of acquired 2 businesses at the same time, pretty much. So one on 9th of July 2003, and the second on the 18th of July.
Wow.
There were 2 existing businesses which we purchased, but then rebranded them and changed the culture within the organisation, and then slowly that grew into 3 businesses across central London. At my only one time, I probably had over 100 hairdressers working with us.
Wow.
And it was a steep learning curve, because you're absolutely right, you know, being disabled and running your own business is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And there were huge challenges there in terms of accessible information, people just not expecting to be there when you're blind, you know. And it's about also how people actually, it's attitudes, how people actually treat you as a person, as a woman, a woman, B, as a woman of colour, and a disabled woman.
Yeah, triple threat.
Yeah, I got them all. So that's fine, because I'm quite determined, I think when you have a disability, you become very resilient,
Yes.
AKA a pain in the arse, basically. You'll call me that, it's fine. It's, when people are sort of referring to that, it's that woman again with white stick. But the thing is, you have to be, because you don't have a choice, because there's so many battles we're trying to fight all the time, from parenthood, running your own house, and, everything you can think of.
Yeah, I think very much as well, we're all trying to sort of fix things as we find them, rather than work for companies from the inside. I think it's amazing what you've done. What do you feel was one of the biggest challenges when you were sort of starting out, or more recently maybe, like what's been one of the biggest things that you've had to work against?
Well, the challenges, I think, are sorts of things that everybody's talking about. The minister spoke about it, and the report's findings as well. But I think finance is a real barrier, actually applying for finance.
Yeah.
It's difficult because you can't really always get loans that are not guaranteed. You have to be guaranteeing them, basically. So many of my time, basically, my entrepreneurship started way back then, a long time ago, because I also have a property portfolio, so that I started that way.
Yeah.
But that was like a passive income more than anything else.
Yes.
So there, you still face the challenges around accessing information, but also the finances, and how can you apply for finances? How can you go to the bank, basically? Because now what's happening is everything's online.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, currently, if I'm trying to get a business loan, or if I'm trying to ask for, whatever I'm asked for, I've got to go on an online portal, which is totally inaccessible for me, because I use VoiceOver, right?
Yeah.
And then the other things that because I did some research with Lloyds recently around the fact that when you've got you try and pay for something, then you sent a text message to verify it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's all that, and then you've got the PDQs, which are a touch screen.
Yeah.
So at the moment you have a PDQ with the raised dots, you've got the 5, you can navigate the screen that way, put your PIN number in. But when you've got those new fangled things, you think, I want to ask someone to put my PIN number in for me. And you're not always with somebody,
Yes.
and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's that being independent part of it, isn't it? And actually, I have spoken to some of the card reader companies and been like, you've got some things you need to fix.
They do.
And, it's going to take money, but that's kind of,
but they haven't thought about
makes it easier. No, they haven't. And that's the thing. Adding on, thinking of us afterwards is just not good enough. It's got to be built.
Because we're not an afterthought. It's necessity from the ground. With Apple, for example, it's built from the ground up with accessibility.
Yeah.
And I think so. Finances was difficult, but I think also the other things about people's perceptions and attitudes.
Very much.
So with Blind Ambition, basically, when that was formed, because of the fact that I've spent 13 years in industry with hairdressing, it was really, really good. I loved that job. I really missed it. I exited that business simply because my mum had cancer that year, 2015. I want to spend more time with her. I had a 3-year-old and a mum with cancer and 3 stores. Okay, something's got to go.
Yeah,
had to be the business. So exited that business in August 2015. But my mum sadly passed away that December. She had ovarian cancer. So then I did some work with the charity Target Ovarian Cancer. But I still went back into working in the disability sector, but I'm quite passionate about that.
Yeah.
And bring us forward to Blind Ambition. It's about, working with organisations, making sure they're sort of compliant with the legislation, disability, the Equality Act. And also then, working with recruiters and HR people in terms of making sure that their practices, their applications are accessible.
Yes.
But also they're accessible, but also that the recruitment process is accessible too. And then also in terms of retention, because I've also got another company that I work with, which is not-for-profit organisation called Blind Ambition International. We work quite closely with people in the community to get them back into work. Okay. So 75% of people who are visually impaired are not in work. Okay.
Wow.
And that's not because they don't want to work, it's because when you look at employers, and a lot of research has been done around that, employers are least likely to employ someone with a visual impairment.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm so passionate about getting those people back into work. And we don't look at just work. We look at, it could be employment, education, training, or being your own boss.
Yes.
And then that way it's trying to get people, and we find, and with this already said in your report, and other people have said about this, that people with disabilities, are often forced to actually become self-employed.
Yeah.
Because so many other doors are shut for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. That was
Mm.
why I ended up taking charge as well, because trying to work in the fashion industry
Yeah.
with stupid hours, it's just impossible. And then it turns out actually being your own boss is even more hours. So I didn't quite work it out that well.
It's
Kind of
really,
a 24/7 job.
yeah.
But where do you find is doing like a good example? Like who's doing things right in your opinion?
Oh, in terms of
In terms of inclusion or companies that you've worked with, like best practice, give us a good story, because there's a lot of good going on out there.
there's a lot good going on. There is. Marks and Spencer are really, really good. John Lewis's I work with. Sony are really, really good in terms of their recruitment. Yeah. Warner Brothers,
Wow.
they've done a lot of training, and they're a place for Harry Potter. We've
Yeah,
got a lot of training with them, and they're really, really switched on around disability and inclusion. There are a lot of places out there. I just did some work with Cambridge University Press, a global sort of piece of work that we did for all their staff all around the world, basically.
Yeah.
There's the webinars. They're really good as well. You know, trying to make a disability inclusive culture.
yeah,
So lots and lots of people actually, you know, making the right sort of noises and et cetera, But I think it's difficult because it's always the sort of the leaders
yes.
and the senior managers that we've got to get to the training sessions.
Yes, yeah.
They're
exactly.
the people who are far too busy to come.
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it?
It's a
I think that there's so many things that we all do, and I'm sure most people in this room are aware. I feel like we just end up preaching to the choir so much. You know, we need non-disabled people to come in and have these conversations, which is, well, it's amazing there's so many banks involved in this, and hopefully finance is going to change for us with the Disability Investment Code.
I really hope so. And it will be good because I think if they also looked at, you know, maybe looking at doing some preferential rates for people with disabilities in terms of loans,
Yes.
that would be really an incentive because, you know, it's really, really hard. You know, the average person with disability was supposed to pay like £600 additional
Yeah.
in terms of, you know, the other things that we have to have. So we're already a negative when you from the starting
Yes.
point, you know?
Yeah.
So I think if you look at preferential rates or something like that, that would be really, really helpful. And
I
making the
agree.
process really, really easy, not having like a 20-page document, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
just, you know, just a telephone number on a website where someone can just get to and call somebody.
Yeah.
It would be brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you so much for coming and sitting here. I think we're at the time we're meant to stop talking. I don't know. I could sit and ask you questions all day, but I think there's a schedule to stick to. Is that right?
Yeah, but thank you very much. Nearly time to give you the food and drink, with one final speaker today, who is Ellen Caulfield, CEO of Business and Commercial Banking for Lloyds Bank and a member of our steering board. So, Ellen, last words to you.
Thank you all. Absolute pleasure to be here, especially on a sunny day, UK sunny day. I believe businesses from all backgrounds have equal opportunities, and they're there to thrive. We need to embrace diversity. It's not an option. It's something that must happen. That's something that we can't make a decision on. It's just got to happen. I've had such a privilege over probably the last year or so, actually, just meeting so many disabled entrepreneurs. It's been just fantastic doing the work with Mish and understanding just more in this space. And working on the original report we did for disability and entrepreneurship, we took it from there. We had a launch back in Gresham Street. It was only February. It was a cold day, actually, not like today. We had a launch back at the head office of Lloyds. And at that point, we had about 100 entrepreneurs in the room, supporters and ministers. I thought at that point, we're bringing people together. And part of this is making a change. It felt like a movement at that point in time. You could see the momentum building. And really, I think that's what it was. It was togetherness. It was government, it was corporates, and it was broader, right across the disabled entrepreneur ecosystem. And from that point, we said, there's barriers. They shouldn't be there. What can we do? What can we do together to navigate and help the navigating? I think you've just touched on it. It's so hard. People, how many times, Misha, have you said, people are exhausted, they're tired, we make it too hard. How can we make it easier? Those seamless journeys that we just talked about before. There's such a critical, it's such a critical group in society that is sometimes just overlooked. that if we gather here today and think about what can we do, there's a wealth of talent, there's a wealth of innovation, there's a wealth of opportunity. If we can pull together and care and make that difference, it will actually make a massive, massive difference to so many people. So many people have stopped me and said, you don't believe what a difference you can actually make. And that has given me goosebumps. Mish, those goosebumps you talked about before, they've stopped me in my tracks and thought, we can actually make a significant difference here to quite a lot of people. And that's been quite inspirational and overwhelming at the same time, because there's so much to get through. And so to get here today and to get an interim report done, it's just been absolutely fantastic, because this is economic value. So Lloyds, we have businesses, about 1 million businesses bank with us. This is a win-win. Dr. Tom touched on it before we were talking. Everybody prospers here. We're helping more economic value. It's a no-brainer. It's got to be done. But we need to continue to, what I've learned definitely through this process is listen, learn, and then advocate. We can advocate and help so many. We can ask those difficult questions, make sure that we're probing with those questions and really understand what the issues are. And then look at our products, our services, and say, how can we do things differently? We need to stop. We need to do things differently as we move forward. And we're committed to make that change. We're committed to make that cultural change in our systems, our processes, and our propositions, and make them inclusive. Make that design inclusive. Bring people in early. Understand what it needs to look and feel like, and have a lived experience instead of building it without that lived experience. But also we've got a breadth of, I'd say our breadth and our scale will also help from a mentoring perspective, and bring opportunities for people together. We can work across networks and bring key supporters in and really build that entrepreneurial ecosystem that's needed. And the recommendations from this report, the actions that we will take them as a bank, and we'll help our voice across society, and will enable what I believe can be systemic change. And I really look forward to working with the Department of Business, Small Business Britain, and also others to develop the new Disability Finance Code for entrepreneurs. This is a step today, but we're on a long journey with this one. And that won't stop. We need to carry on. We need to keep the momentum. We've had such fantastic momentum since February. We've been led by, many have said, a force of nature. Mish, going to give you your full title. Michelle Evans. You and your team. We wouldn't have got here today without you and your team. Don't get emotional, because you'll make me emotional, okay? But that has been fundamental to get us where we are today, mobilize us into this next phase, which has been absolutely fantastic. Now we need to work together, not just across the UK, what's happening out there, but globally. We're going to look globally. That's fantastic. We want to find examples where there is excellent support. What can we learn from it in both private and public sectors? And where is there best practice? Some people have talked about that today. We need to learn from that. And we also need to carry on with our research, more one-to-one interviews with disabled founders, and really understand the experiences that happen today and what we need to change. We'll look at new opportunities. Someone mentioned AI before. We'll look at that. We'll look at how can that help us, and how can we then move forward and publish that final report in autumn next year. So today's about more positive action, creating a level playing field, and a view to really liberate talent, because disability should not be a barrier in achieving anyone's aspirations any day. So I'm committed and so proud we've got to where we are today. And I think we can drive now systemic change. So thank you, massive thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen, and thank you to the whole team at Lloyds who've been absolutely fantastic. Lots of thank yous. The steering board, amazing. The Department for Business and Trade, the Department for Work and Pensions, the ministers, so many people who've done so much work over the last few months. Feels like the Oscars, I'm forgetting people I should thank. A wonderful British Sign Language team. We did hold a British Sign Language focus group at BT, which was just a phenomenal experience. We had to have 8 cameras to capture everything. But what we wanted to do is to create a room where people felt that they could talk freely, that they could talk in their first language and be their authentic selves, share their experiences. And that's very much at the heart of the Lilac Review. So there's lots going on over the next year and a half. We all hate it when people disappear off and do those terrible reports and we don't hear anything for months. It's all a bit bollocks, isn't it? That's absolutely not the plan. We are not disappearing. There's lots of things going on. Please get in touch if you'd like to get involved. There's lots more research going on. We're also looking at great examples that are happening across the UK, that are happening internationally, where technology is making a difference. We've got lots more initiatives coming. Of course, the Disability Finance Codes, there's going to be lots more on that in the coming months. We're also looking at launching a mentoring platform for disabled founders, and more on that coming in the next few weeks. Lots.
And almost with you. Yeah, good.
Are we good? Okay.
Mentoring program.
Really good. I'm just talking too fast, but there is lots going on over the coming weeks and months and into next year. So please do stay involved. Please do stay in touch. This is absolutely about everyone here. It's about everyone across the community of disabled founders. And it's about everyone. We talked a lot, Victoria said, which is really true. This is about talking to everyone. Everyone in society has a role to play. If we just sat in rooms with other disabled founders, would be great, but we wouldn't actually get anywhere. We need everyone to be involved. So thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sharing the message. Got a bit of food and drink outside. Can have a little chat. So please do come and talk to me and my team. And we look forward to working with you more. Thank you very much.